Now, to be fair, Tifa is actually...
So who's Bugenhagen?
Say, what?
What does he do? What does he do in the alternate universe?
Bugenhagen? No, see, Bugenhagen is still Cosmo Canyon, but Cosmo Canyon is like the art museum that they take a field trip to at one point.
Okay. Yeah, that fits. So, to be fair, Tifa is better suited to these particular battles than, I would say, at least Barrett. Definitely better suited to it than Aerith.
Is it the same lineup of enemies every time?
Yes.
Yes.
To be clear on that, it's the same lineup of mini-boss enemies, but fighting them as the different characters is a substantially different experience each time. So, I would class it as one of those things that's more fun to play than it is to watch.
Absolutely.
Because, they did a really, really, really good job in Final Fantasy VII Remake of making all 4 characters feel really unique. I think I meant to do something other than Chakra there, and my hand slipped. Because Chakra isn't all that useful unless you're at very low health. The thing about Chakra as a skill is that the amount of HP you recover is proportional to the amount of HP you've lost. Right. I was trying to do True Strike, which is the skill I'm trying to learn with Tifa, but the problem with True Strike is that it's one of those attacks that you have to be at really, really close range to do. It's also a skill that gives a large boost to staggered damage if you use it on an enemy that's already staggered. Of course, since this is a VR mission, I can't just use Maiden's Kiss to restore my health. To restore myself from Toad status. I have to... Was little Tifa Toad wearing a skirt?
Yeah, she was definitely wearing a skirt.
And her hands and feet are the same color as her shoes and gloves.
Nah, that's good. I like the Toads.
But again, it's kind of disappointing that Barrett Toad doesn't have a gun for an arm.
What was Barrett Toad's? Oh, Barrett Toad was wearing the sunglasses, right?
And I think he's also just slightly larger than the other Toads as well. So just size and glasses.
I want to see their T model really bad. Like, their T-pose.
This is the most annoying part of fighting Sahagin Prince. He has this counter stance where he's constantly pressured. So if you do damage to him with a spell, his stagger bar goes up like nothing else. But he's always ready for you if you attack physically. Guess how much MP I have? 1 MP, which is as good as 0. So
Liar, you have 2.
now my only way of advancing the fight is to attack him directly. It's not like he'll just sit there doing nothing waiting for you to counterattack either. If you try to wait him out, he'll attack you at long range. Damn it. It's really hard to find an opening where you can attack him when he's in this mode without getting curb stomped yourself. Barrett has a much easier time with this because he can attack at long range, but man, is this what it's like when I hold Punisher block at people and they have no way to attack me without getting smacked in the face?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, the other thing about Chakra is that it also cures poison. For all the good
That's
that
nice.
does.
You're cleansing the body of the toxins inside your system.
Pretty much.
You see, they say that about butter too, John, but I don't know how true that is.
No, I said butter. I read that butter just extends the caffeine inside the coffee. That's it.
Oh, really, huh? Yeah, and then, what, did a butter tell you that? They're trying to butter you up, John? See what I
A
did
butter?
Yeah, you know, a butter.
You should have gone for a butler, because it sounds like butter, but it actually is someone.
Yeah, I think there might have been a typo there.
Yeah, no, but you see, if you call someone a butler, that just sounds like some weird, crappy porn parody, you know?
I didn't want a butler. I wanted a butter.
Back to the story
Said
you
the
go
fat
then.
chocobo.
Hey, did somebody ask about butter?
Said butler, fat
Finally.
Chocobo. Thank you.
Finally! Fucking finally! You deserve this!
Sorry again.
You don't need to make the dolphin noise every time, Diva.
I like to imagine that whenever she does dolphin flurry, only she can see the dolphin. So...
Wait, so the limit break is a hallucinogen?
I guess. Ah, god damn it. Did I say Tifa was better suited to this?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, she might be better suited, like, in terms of her outfit, which seems to be just generally more practical for combat situations.
What? Okay.
I mean, Lewis, besides the excuse of like giving us another part for this playthrough and, you know, and getting like 10 more cents in revenue, why'd you feel the need to show this off?
Because I was doing it while recording.
Why?
Because
I'd
the
like to
rewards
point
are
out
good.
when we did the needless enemy rush in Twilight Princess, I sped it up.
Yeah, I speed out through the gauntlet stuff in Onimusha because I don't want to subject you guys to 30 floors of this
Okay,
shit.
I'm sorry. But like,
Should be.
No, that's not good enough. I want a butter now.
I knew it. I knew you were part of the butter cult.
anyway, the most effective way to take on Phantomus Tifa is to just constantly hit it with Omni Strike whenever it's visible, because Omni Strike is surprisingly damaging considering it's not an ATB skill. You just have to use your ATB to use Unbridled Strength to get it. Honestly, I like Omni Strike more than I like Rise and Fall, which you need to use Unbridled Strength twice to get.
See the problem is right now whenever I hear Omni, all I can think of is the Omni-Man memes. See, Trunks, if I beat him when he's perfect, that'll prove I'm better than Kakarot. Think, Trunks, think!
Oh, God.
Vegeta, more like get life. Yeah, got him.
Oh, got him.
Oh no, I could have done that better. More like the get a life.
A life,
damn
yeah.
It. Oh. This is like my
Ruined
one
it, man.
job. This is like the only reason why I'm here, and I can't even do it today. Man.
You're fired again.
Oh. Wait, does that mean that I don't have to watch the part anymore?
That's true. You can stop right now and leave.
Oh, no. Whew.
What? Oh, yeah, the part's still going.
I thought I was about to take a blizzard spell through the face is all. It's been long enough that I recorded this, since I recorded this, that I legitimately forgot how every fight goes.
Tifa, your hands are on fire.
And in these one-on-one battles without access to items, it really does feel like you're kind of doing those those fights in Final Fantasy XV where you got really daring and decided to go out at night at the very beginning of the game, and the Iron Giants came out. Before you
think about
before
it.
you had Prompto to bail you out of those situations.
See, BC though, I'm the kind of guy where if I know of a spot that has obnoxiously strong enemies, but it's not one and done sort of thing where one shot will kill you, where it's very possible to win the fight if you're very careful and with this, degree of luck,
Limit Glove, anyone?
I go for it. I go for it. Because if all I gotta do is win it once, and that experience that I get makes me much stronger, and then it gets easier.
Dragons.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the Iron Giants are like. But here's the thing. At the beginning of Final Fantasy XV, there's a hunt that you can do if you rank up your hunt rank enough in the first section before the story advances, right? And it's to find a giant flan at night. But the most direct path to the giant flan takes you right past this obnoxious Iron Giant spawn point where you have to kill an Iron Giant, and then when you kill that Iron Giant, a second Iron Giant spawns along with an army of goblins to distract you while you're fighting the Iron Giant. So actually fighting it as Noctis is borderline impossible. Fortunately, now we can just switch to Prompto and spam the goddamn rocket launcher at everything, and Prompto is overpowered. It's almost like taking a gun into a fantasy combat situation is an extremely effective thing to do.
And that's why soldiers shouldn't be giving everybody swords.
Oh, get. Okay, that
Ow.
could have gone better. Alright.
Why did the music randomly change for this Casey Jones looking jackass?
Because it's the penultimate battle in the set. There's only one.
I mean,
of
It's 3 of 5.
I guess.
Miss.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Do something, damn it. I can't attack you
Shoulder
until
tackle.
you're stumbling.
You pantsed him. Tonight, I'm gonna punch Casey Jones in the ass.
I'm just imagining Shredder saying that. Tonight I punch Casey Jones in the ass.
Damn, Uncle Phil.
Focus Strike is faster than Focused Shot, so you actually do have a chance to hit this motherfucker with it.
And we got True Strike, yay.
Please stop punching me.
No.
Well, okay then.
What is the teeth next to him? Is he a vampire now?
He's in Fury State.
Yeah, he's Fury status.
Means his damage is more of a problem, but since you're just doing the same evade and counter strategy
Yeah.
anyway, it doesn't actually make him harm.
Literally has no effect on the strategy.
So, it seems like, I mean, I've barely been paying attention to the combat system this entire time. It feels like you do very little damage in this game unless if you stagger someone.
Well, staggering is the entire point.
It depends
Okay.
on what enemy you're fighting, actually, because there are a lot of enemies throughout the game, not just at the beginning, where their HP values are low enough that your standard attacks, especially with, like, Cloud's Punisher mode, or Barrett's melee
Ragdoll.
weapons, your standard attacks will do substantial damage to them. And they generally also have an area of effect, like Cloud's Sword is a sweeping attack, or Barrett's melee attacks have big slam effects that hit multiple enemies close by. Even the low-level spells have splash damage effects. So it really is about picking the best option for the situation. The thing is, right now we're facing exclusively mini-bosses, which are enemies that do need you to take advantage of the stagger system.
Okay.
Although ironically, like, this is the... Actually, I was wrong. The last one wasn't the penultimate enemy. This is the penultimate enemy. Ironically, the third-class soldier, who's supposed to be some kind of elite operative, doesn't have particularly high HP or stagger threshold, so your
Yeah, it
normal
looked like you
attacks...
kind of just clowned him, and Casey Jones was way harder.
Yeah, that one went down like a sack of bricks. But, like, the bigger enemies, like the sweepers, you really do have to focus in on the stagger bar to be effective. It's not like Final Fantasy XIII, where every enemy has a ridiculous amount of HP that you're not going to put a dent in unless you stagger them. In 13, there were, unfortunately, very few enemies that you could defeat without staggering them first. Unless you wanted to take a ridiculously long time in every battle. That was always an option, but certainly not the one you would pick.
I mean,
But-
is it really an option if nobody ever picks it?
I mean, in Final Fantasy VII Remake, there are some enemies that it's actually legitimately hard to stagger them because they tend to die before their stagger bar fills, which is a problem early on because you actually do want to stagger a certain number of enemy types to get Chadley's research goals done. So, one of the early game frustrations is killing enemies too quickly to stagger them. Yeah, let's just punch a giant robot to death. Why not?
Sure.
We're a fantasy monk. It's allowed. Hit him straight in the chin. That's how you take a giant saw blade robot out.
Wasn't as effective as he thought.
Yeah.
That punch attack looks pretty cool.
The stagger ran out halfway through the animation, unfortunately. Enemies... The amount of time an enemy stays staggered is variable between enemies. Ow!
You know, with some enemies, it's like blink and you miss it.
Yeah. So trying to time attacks like Star Shower or Infinity's End can be a bit of a problem.
I think every character has their Infinity's End, basically. Is Tifa's Star Shower? It does have a lot of hits.
Yeah, I think
Tifa's
so.
would be Star Shower, Barrett's would be Point Blank.
Yeah.
Aerith...
Where he's just blunt. Like, he's just blunt about a character trait that annoys the shit out of him, and he just wants to let
Aerith's
you know.
might be Ray of Judgment, because that is definitely geared toward fighting a stationary enemy who isn't moving.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because the windup is so long.
The windup is long, and to get maximum damage, you have to get the enemy to sit still and just eat the laser beam for the duration of the attack. So actually trying to use it on enemies that are moving around doesn't work. But unfortunately, while you're trying to learn a skill, that's exactly what you're doing.
I didn't ask for shit.
The robot is unable to talk to you, Tifa.
Damn it, Ryan, you missed your cue.
What?
Sure you can, goddammit.
Worked in a good sway.
You couldn't even do that.
All right.
Well, you shouldn't even been watching these things in the first place, so...
So we're done. We got the best armors. We got the EXP and Gil materia. We're all good, and we can move on with the story at last.
Sounds fake.
I mean, you say that you say that now, but when you're actually playing the game, the ability to just chill out for a little while and do random side quest battles in the virtual reality simulator thing actually comes as quite a relief compared to what happens immediately after.
No,
where-
it absolutely does make sense for there to be a break point gameplay-wise. It just makes no sense from a story perspective why we would be doing
It's
this.
more that, like, after this point, the game is, like, high-octane, almost non-stop action. Because
Yeah, Tifa, you knock over that bar stool.
you remember what Shinra Tower was like in the original game, right? Boss fight after boss fight after boss fight. Well, let's just say they accurately represented that in the remake. So our next destination, like, we're gonna climb around in the vents for the rest of this part, but after this, it's like you fight a boss in Hojo's lab, then you wake up and there's some story exposition in Aerith's room in Hojo's lab, and then after that, you're going through the final dungeon, which is all like really tough battles as your party members who are all split up, and then boss battle with the stupid flying robot worm thing.
Cloud? Huh? You're Cloud, right?
Here we go.
Holy shit! It's cool, bro. We went through training together.
Wait, isn't Cloud's face on like every most wanted screen in
No.
Shinra HQ?
I told him
Not really.
Well, even then, he recognizes him as a buddy from the training days, and he mentions Cosmo right now. That's a Crisis Core character.
Kunsel,
Yeah.
he's actually Zack's buddy from his soldier days. So he would know Cloud. But like there were two members of Soldier who made friends with Zack, and you kept in like email contact with them throughout the game. There was Kunsel, who's a generally good guy, and then there's Luke Sior, who's a fucking kiss up. And it's implied that Luke Sior was trying to sell you out at the end of the game, getting in contact with you through email, trying to get you to tell him where you were. Zack, thankfully, wasn't dumb enough to fall for it. So it's cool to hear. It's cool to hear that Kunsel is still knocking around. It implies that we might actually see Kunsel at some point later on, which would be cool. But story-wise, Kunsel wasn't very important. He was just sort of a tutorial guy for Zack, and someone that you'd occasionally like get an email from throughout the game.
The Wu-Tai Avalanche conspiracy wholeheartedly. I've almost come to believe it myself.
Utah's response?
So far, nothing.
It's interesting to hear President Shinra and Heidegger actually talking to each other, because not just because the connection that was sort of retroactively applied to the two characters in the compilation, but also because Heidegger has this really irreverent personality. But when he's talking to someone who's not his boss, he laughs a lot, taunts a lot, disrespects them a lot. But when he's with President Shinra, he's like very respectful.
Well, that's just normal. You know, people's personalities are completely different depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, I know, but it reminds me of how he talked to Rufus in the original game, where he kept seeming to forget to be respectful.
Yeah, he didn't care about
and
Rufus.
Rufus was just like, stop it with your stupid horse laugh. And like every time Rufus put him in his place, he got angry and had to and wound up taking it out on like one of the nearby soldiers, or in one memorable case on Costa del Sol, on all the nearby bystanders.
It's an interesting thing because it shows that Heidegger respects President Shinra, not Rufus.
Yeah.
What's the plan?
And we see this later actually in this game,
Need to find a way to infiltrate.
where after obviously President Shinra gets killed, Rufus is new president, and Heidegger just still calls him vice president, while Tseng calls him Mr. President, and Rufus responds to Tseng, not Heidegger.
It's like, he's like, yeah, that's right. Say it again louder.
Yeah.
For the asshole in the back.
President Rufus, President.
Well, I mean, it also makes sense considering that to Heidegger, Rufus is just some dumbass kid who doesn't deserve to be there.
Heidegger might also suspect that Rufus had connections with Avalanche, because that is definitely a thing.
Wait, Rufus has connections to Avalanche?
Rufus was trying to get his old man killed so he could take over, I think.
Oh, those kind of connections. Okay, never mind.
Rufus has like Rufus has some interesting stuff going on in the background of the entire compilation. Like in Advent Children and Dirt of Cerberus, Rufus is secretly funding the WRO to help clean up the mess Shinra made, effectively. So he has sort of a redemption arc going on in the background.
Maybe, but this is...
Oh, Tifa, what are you worried about? You're going into the guys' restroom. You're not going into the sewer or anything.
Oh, it's just to kind of, like...
Oh, thank God. No one's in here.
Yeah, that would have been awkward.
I mean, at the very least, that's a little weird, though. She just kind of just goes in with them. It's like, at least wait a second for Cloud and Barrett to scope it out to see if anyone's in there, and then call her in.
Yeah, fair enough. But, like, she doesn't want to be hovering in here while you're up in the air ducts either, so she insists on going with you. It was actually kind of weird in the original game how all three characters would go into the really narrow air ducts, and they'd be, like, grouped around the air vent watching the meeting.
Yeah, I know. It's just all three of them going in at the same time.
Also, how do that not make a ton of noise going through these things? It's like, what the hell?
That too. I mean, Barrett acknowledges that he's kind of a big guy, so this is infeasible for him, really. But in the original game...
But then Cloud brings in the Buster Sword.
In the original game, not only did all three of them go into the thing, but, like, they all watched the meeting, and they were all in a circle around the air vent above the meeting, which is not, like, there's no room in here for that.
Also, again, how is Cloud crawling around in here with the Buster Sword on? Actually, should be scraping and making like
it's
shearing
likely
noises.
clipping through the vent. We just don't see that here.
Yeah, it's just one of those. That thing should be making a ton of noise, clanging and shearing against the vents.
Like, what the hell is that? Those rats are gritting out a hand in the vents. Release the poison. Oh, shit.
There's wiring
Vent
along
rats.
the walls, too.
Yeah, all
definitely-
power lines. It's just like every time he cuts a corner, a floor goes out.
There goes life support over in the security officer's medical division. Oops.
You're going to jail, Cloud.
But, like, okay, so there's only two dead ends that you can possibly turn into in this entire sequence. One of them does have a materia in it, so you're going to want to check them both, but it's the second one. So just check the second one. I do like how they stick to your shoulder view rather than going into the stereotypical first-person view for this, because in
Backing
the original
up.
game, you did go through the air vents in a third-person perspective. It was just over top down.
Now
It was a little awkward though, because you had the whole up and the like cloud to go towards
I
you.
like these little optional windows where you get to listen in on other employees having other conversations about things. It has to do with the Sector 7 catastrophe. And a lot of, and it kind of underlines that, like, much with the Umbrella Corporation, a lot of the employees don't know about the really dirty shit that Shinra gets into. So they're just normal people.
I like it if
living
you
their
just turn a
lives.
corner and the snake is crawling by. It's like Cloud Snake.
Is that a woman? Not
You
him.
see someone else crawling down another path in the year events, and then suddenly a cardboard box just materializes around them, and they stay perfectly still.
Yeah.
And these would be Reeves employees, because they're talking about like coming up with different time scale plans for restoring Sector 7, because they don't know that President Shinra is just going to say no. So they're like, okay, we need to come up with feasible plans for 3, 5, and 10 years. Get on it, people. That's the kind of organization that it would take to figure this stuff out. Like, how can we do this quickly? How can we do this in a medium time frame? And how can we do this in a slower time frame if we don't have the budget for either of the other two?
I think it's more that they're knowing that it's a long-term plan, so they're setting goals per 3, 5, 10 years. So by year 3, we should be this far along. By year 5, we should be this far along.
Oh, from the wording of it, it doesn't actually sound like that. Like, if we have a higher budget, we can get this done in hopefully in 3 years. If we can't get that budget, we can get it done in 5 years maybe. But we're also going to have to plan for a 10-year plan, because, yeah. But that's just my read on it. It's the sort of thing that they would do in this situation. Now, okay. It does take a while to get through the ducts, though. Which is probably why they put those optional windows there, so that you would have something to break up the monotony. Alright.
I'm telling you, I saw him with my own eyes, sauntering down the corridor.
I want to imagine Sephiroth actually sauntering.
This is a hell of a nice boardroom, by the way. And I don't just mean because of the marble walls and the frickin' Greek pillars everywhere. I mean, like, the equipment that they've got set up here. The screen in the back that anyone who's presenting can use to show off their data. Pretty standard stuff. But also on the table, I think you can see, like, everyone's got, like, an individual...
I have the damage assessment for Sector 7.
It's not showing at this angle, god damn it.
Spare us the doom.
But there's other equipment on the table that can be used to display things.
Was there anything else?
Oh, here we go.
Also drafted a
That will not be
reconstruction
needed.
plan for...
Not with the ancient in our
Damn it.
custody once more.
Ted Turner, you speak nonsense.
With respect, sir, I don't see how...
Reeve. Neo Midgard.
So we're gonna take the city and push it somewhere else.
Reeves probably just thinking, you know, any competent organization would reconstruct the city even if they were going to build another one.
We will
You
build
know.
a new Mako-powered metropolis.
Mr. President, we still don't know for sure that the Promised Land even...
Reeve has, like, the best point at this table, though, because the Promised Land
Professor
isn't what these
Hojo.
people think it is.
The test results were within expectations.
You'd think they would think
The
to
specimen is
to-
somewhat
to-
lacking compared
to
to her pure blood
verify the
consider
thing
that.
first.
Yeah, but, like, the closest thing to the Promised Land that exists in the game world is the crater, and the only reason that exists... And yeah, this is what I was talking about in the middle. You can see all these little screens where everyone can look at different displays.
forceful yet gentle.
Like, I imagine if they were having a really complicated meeting where everyone actually had things to show off, all of this stuff would be really useful.
My armory is at your disposal should you require anything.
I had something
Oh,
more
boy.
psychological in mind. Better to scar the psyche than mar the flesh.
God damn it. Hojo, they really did a good job with Hojo.
He's a disgusting piece of shit
Yes,
in the remake.
yes, he is.
Yeah.
Proceed as you see fit. However, You will not make the same mistake
But
twice.
one of the things that I like about Hojo in this is that we actually acknowledge like his mindset with regard to the Promised Land is that he doesn't give a shit. He just wants to get his boss off his back about it so that he can do what he actually cares about, which is mad science stuff. In a way, Hojo is the real villain of Final Fantasy VII.
And they mentioned S&G types, which is probably going to be involved with Integrate, and it's like...
Genesis is going to be in the remake at some point or another. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, probably.
I also like how everyone's just really unamused at his plan.
It's like, oh, I hate Genesis.
Like, even President Shinra, who's, like, complete heartless evil, just sort of looks away and is like... No response. He's just like, if there's nothing else, you know. I'm going to let my science man do his science things, but maybe it's better if I don't know the specifics.
And they kept this line for some reason.
Except it's Hojo saying it, except instead of Scarlet, which is weird.
Yeah. There's no context for that in this.
I mean, I get why they changed who said it this time, because in the original game, you didn't see much of Scarlet before this, so that line was supposed to draw attention to Scarlet as a character so that she would stick in your memory for the next time she appeared. But here, we're obviously focusing on Hojo for the final stretch of the game, because the final dungeon is his laboratory. And we also need to establish Hojo, because Hojo is, as I said, essentially the real villain of Final Fantasy VII. So...
away we go to run down the hall.
Oh, and he's got a ponytail too. Wow, he is a douchebag.
Yeah, he's always had that going on. From the look of him, it just looks like he doesn't have the time or the inclination to bother getting a haircut, so he just lets it grow out and ties it back. His hair has that kind of, like, not so well-kept shininess that makes me think it's quite greasy.
First, we must have answers.
Or maybe he just takes care of it.
I doubt it.
Like, it's kind of implied that he doesn't care much about his physical appearance, because like he's kind of like not shaved. Like, it looks like he hasn't shaved in a
He
few
goes
days.
he goes to the beach, right, in the original game, and he's out there getting a tan in his lab coat.
I can't wait for that scene.